Growing, they're only about 15 and a half, almost 16 feet. Might have noticed out on the driving safari, particularly tall giraffe, standing in around 18 and a half, almost 19 feet. His name is Wilt. He does have very dark spots, and he's our lead dominant male. Sometimes you can see him from here. I think I can actually see him right now, standing over there by the fence, off to the right. So you can see that very tall giraffe over there. We do have 2 posts on the back of the platform measured in feet, so you can see how tall Wilt is compared to our 2 boys, and what height they might eventually reach in the future. Each giraffe has a unique pattern of spots, just like a zebra stripes here on fingerprints, so you can pick out a particular giraffe based on that spot pattern. You see especially Bobby over there, along his neck he has very distinct square-shaped spots. You can use that to help pick him out from Manowari. Also, he has a little color difference. He's a little browner than Manowari back here. He's a little bit more blonde. So you have a little color difference as well. Another reason for this type of training is a form of enrichment. It gives them something to do. Keeps them thinking, and keeps them from being bored. They like figuring out new activities, so it'll help keep them healthy mentally as well as physically. But again, they are one of the females that can't see in color. So if you need to move them to a new location, just go ahead and put his target in a new location, give him the signal, and they'll go ahead and move himself. Cuts down a lot of stress, so helps keep them nice and happy. Giraffe are strict herbivores, so they're only going to be eating different plant materials, different leaves, twigs, flower buds, and fruit. And they will eat between 70 to 80 pounds of food a day. And they will sometimes spend upwards of 20 hours of the day eating. So they will constantly looking for food to help power those big bodies. So now he's getting someone to walk backwards. Just as he's walking backwards, he's alternating those legs. That's called a diagonal gait. That's not his normal mode of motion, so he's very purposeful where he put those feet of his. His front hooves are a little bit bigger than his back feet, about 12 inches in diameter, like a dinner plate. As he walks forward, he paces them on the same side. That is a lateral gait. That is his normal mode of motion. So they have a very graceful stride. And though it doesn't look it, they can run quite quickly. They can run as fast as 35 miles per hour. But it's always fun to watch a giraffe run because it looks like they're moving in slow motion. Now, those legs can be about 6 feet long. And not much will harass a full-grown giraffe, because a kick from one of them can actually kill a lion, so these have very powerful legs. You don't want to get anywhere near a giraffe's feet. Again, those hooves, especially the front ones, can be quite large as a dinner plate, about 12 inches in diameter. Male giraffes can get to be about 25 years old. Females around 30 to 35 years. And with the giraffes, you'll notice on the tops of their heads, they have these hair-covered horns. It's called ossicones. The giraffe and their cousin the okapi are the only animals that have those hair-covered horns. You also notice his neck is 6 feet long, but it's not actually long enough to reach ground level. So in order to do so, he's got to spread his front legs apart, lower his head like a big crane. It's a very awkward position for the giraffe. Makes him feel very vulnerable. So many times in the wild, they'll go a few days between drinking to avoid being in that position. Or they'll designate another giraffe as a lookout to watch for any signs of danger. Or they'll get the moisture they need from the food that they'll be eating. Any way to try and avoid being in that position. Many times the giraffe will actually sleep standing up because it's very awkward for them to get up from ground level as well. Usually see the calves and the babies sitting on the ground, but the mothers want to stand and guard nearby. Now, their necks are not very flexible going up and down, but much more side to side, like he's demonstrating there. Also, as I mentioned before, those hair-covered horns on the top of their heads. The males and females both have them, but the males are much more pronounced, as you can see with our 2 boys here and Angaza's dainty little ossicones back here. That third thing on their forehead is called a calcium deposit. It's not an extra horn. You'll see it'll get larger as they get older. The males will use those ossicones in fighting for territory for females. What the boys will do is they'll stand shoulder to shoulder and swing their heads around like to the side, like a big pendulum, and they'll hit their opponent in the side as hard as they can. That behavior is called necking. And sometimes they can swing their head with enough force to lift their opponent off their front hooves, which is quite the feat, considering males can weigh in around 3,000 pounds. Females a little daintier, 1,500 pounds. But again, they can inflict quite a bit of damage on their opponent. And this is, again, showing how well they can turn that neck to the side there. Get that little itch out of the way. Giraffe, you might notice up at the platform, do have prehensile tongues, which they can manipulate very well. They can use it to reach out and grab different food items. And with the tongues, you might notice they have a dark purple-black coloration to them. That dark coloration is a natural form of sun protection for them because, again, they can spend upwards of 20 hours of the day eating. So that dark colorations help protect it. They can also manipulate that tongue very well, be it for grabbing food items, or in this case, now he's getting signaled to clean out his nose with that tongue. So it shows you how well he can manipulate his tongue. It's kind of gross, but it shows you how well he can use it for different items besides food, such as personal grooming, like he's doing right now. Also, that tongue, you might notice that they have very sticky saliva that does serve a purpose. They'll use it to coat any sticks or thorns to make sure they don't scratch the insides of their mouths. And their tongue can be quite long, can be as long as 17 inches. He's going to demonstrate now by reaching out and touching that target. Show that long tongue of his. So on top of their great height, besides being 18 feet tall, they have an extra 17 inches of tongue. They reach out, grab a branch, and bring it down to their mouth. And then that sticky saliva to coat any sticks or thorns so they don't scratch their mouths. One of their favorite trees in Africa is the acacia tree. It's a very thorny tree, so there's sticky saliva to help protect their mouth. You can see he's packing away that fruit. With the giraffe, they do have a 15-month gestation period, so they're pregnant for 15 months. At the end of that pregnancy, the baby does have about a 6-foot drop to the ground. An hour or so, the baby's up and following mom. You can see here now he's getting settled to put his foot through that hole. This is a new training behavior they're doing, where she gives him a signal to put a particular hoof through the hole. Ties in with that medical training to eventually get to the point where they'll give him the command. They'll put any one of those particular hoofs on command to go through the hole and make sure his feet are nice and healthy. Since it is a new behavior they're working on, it does take a lot of practice and review, but he is very smart and he picks up on it very quickly. It just takes a little practice to aim for that little hole there. But he gets better every day. Again, with those giraffe, you might notice behind us we do have one little baby giraffe sitting on the ground back there, and he's with his mom. That's Mosey. He was born October 24th, and he is our youngest giraffe. There was one giraffe born 2 days before him. When he was born, he was 6'1". Most baby giraffes are 6 feet in height at birth. And he has grown quite a bit since then. He's a little over 3 months old right now, but is one of our youngest giraffe back there. Some of the other animals we have up at the feeding platform, we do have 2 miniature Sicilian donkeys. Right now the girls are hanging out in their barn. Their names are Sugar and Spice. Sometimes you'll see Spice hanging out at the shows. But with the reason why we have the donkeys here is they help keep the grass nice and short. They help eliminate any parasites that might be in the grass that can make the giraffe sick. So they help keep the giraffe nice and healthy. They also act as bodyguards for our bird Tony. Tony, if you see him walking around, is an East African crown crane. It looks like he's got a pom-pom of feathers on the top of his head. The reason why he has those feathers in the wild, they be living along riverbanks and marshes where they have very tall grasses. And the feathers on the top of his head help him blend in with those tall grasses. Tony's way in the far back of the exhibit, there along the fence. You can kind of pick him back there. The giraffes themselves are not so much endangered, but a lot of their habitat is under threat. So one way to help save some African habitat would be through recycling your old cell phones. The main reason for that is there's an element in the battery of your cell phone mined exclusively in Africa. So in order to help save some of that African habitat, you can just reuse those materials that you already have in those old cell phones. And you can recycle them here at Lion Country Safari. If you bring your old cell phones to the ticket booths, in exchange you'll get a feeding coupon to use up here at the giraffe platform, or at the Budgie or Lorikeet aviaries, or even at the petting zoo. So that's one way you can help save some African habitat for their wild relatives. Now, if you have any questions at all about the giraffe, or any questions in general, please feel free to come and ask me. Again, my name is Sarah of the Education Department. You'll find me at the top of the giraffe feeding platform. I also have with me a hair from the tail of one of the giraffe. If you'd like to see what a giraffe hair feels like, you're welcome to come check that out. If I don't see you, I hope you have a great rest of your